For this week's Torah portion, Bilam, we have with the very special Rabbi Yitzchak Chai Bukhbeza, living in the last century. He was the chief rabbi of Libya, born in Tunisia, one of the giants to come out of Tunisia. He wrote a commentary on the Zohar, which was just recently published for manuscript. He wrote what we're going to bring from today, a little sort of dictionary where he has different words like tzedakah, prophecy, rooster, and sort of explaining, giving a commentary on these different words. He was a Kabbalist. He was a real giant. Huge respect for his parents, especially for his mother, who apparently was a huge sage. This week's Torah portion, Balak, we are going to give a short, cute little vort based on the entry for chicken, Ternegol, in Rabbi Yitzchak's book, and Rooster, and how Rooster is related to Bilam. And after that, we are going to tell the fascinating story about what happened when Rabbi Yitzchak Chai Bukhbeza was invited to Rome and what he saw in the basement of the Vatican. But just before that, so Rooster, this week's Torah portion, who doesn't know about Balak, the king who brings Bilam? Bilam is the exact extreme to Moses. If Moses is the perfect prophet, then Bilam is the perfect magician using powers of black magic, hoping to curse the Israelites. Under the term rooster, Ternegol, Rabbi Yitzchak tells us Ternegol is another way of saying rooster, is also gever in the Bible. And gever, as we know in this week's Torah portion, when Bilam speaks, in sort of, we are told that he is, this is the speech of the gever shtum ha'ain, the sort of who perhaps has only one eye, or the word shtum is very difficult. But anyway, we know that the word gever is also Ternegol, which is rooster, and this is therefore synonymous with Bilam. And Rabbi Yitzchak tells us that there are three characteristics unique to the rooster and to Bilam. The first, the sort of sexual activity of the rooster. Apparently roosters are quite active in that area. They'll go with anything. And in fact, we know that also Bilam had a very unique relationship with his ass. He didn't just ride it, literally. And then, of course, the rooster has a very unique characteristic. The rooster knows the moments in which God is angry. And if you know the moments in which God is angry, it can help if you want to curse someone, because in those moments, if you curse, it will happen. This is another joint characteristic that the rooster and Bilam have. And the third is that roosters many times stand up on one leg. As we know, Bilam had a problem with one of his legs. Rabbi Yitzchak concludes by saying that there is also a hint. If you look at the word Bilam, you take the numeric value of the actual letters that create Bilam, meaning Bet, Lamed, Ain, Mem, all together, you reach rooster, to hint that he, in fact, the source, the root of who he is a rooster. In fact, in another entry in this dictionary under Ain Hara, the evil eye, right? Is there really an evil eye? He has a lot of fascinating stuff to say about Bilam, but we're not going to get into that. We're going to move now to the story about the Vatican. The year is 1929. 1929, the King of Italy comes for a royal visit to Libya, to Tripoli, and as part of his visit, he visits the Grand Synagogue in Tripoli. Rabbi Yitzchak Chai Bukhbeza, as being the chief rabbi, is in the synagogue with the king. We even have a picture of this. You can Google it. The story, as the story goes, the king is very taken by Rabbi Yitzchak, and he invites him for a reciprocal visit back to Rome. In fact, he tells him his daughter's getting married. He'd love for him to be a guest of honor at the wedding. And Rabbi Yitzchak says, of course. He comes to the wedding. The king is even more impressed by Rabbi Yitzchak. At the end of the wedding, just before Rabbi Yitzchak is about to head back to Tripoli, the king says, is there anything I could give you? I'd really love to give you something. Is there anything you need? And Rabbi Yitzchak says, it's okay, I have everything I need. The king pushes. The king says, well, is there perhaps, I'm the king, I'm offering something, hint, hint, take something. Would you perhaps like a raise? Because, the Italians were paying for the official salaries in Libya. And Rabbi Yitzchak says, you know what, if there's one thing I could have, I'd really like a visit to the basement of the Vatican. There's all this talk about stuff that used to belong to us. I'd like to see what's there. To which the king replies, that's out of my jurisdiction, that we're going to have to take up with the Pope. But you know what, that'll be my favor to you, I'll ask the Pope. King calls the Pope, Pope gives the okay. King says to Rabbi Yitzchak, no problem. There is a special servant who is going to take you down to the basement and see what no one has seen before you. The special servant arrives, takes Rabbi Yitzchak. They go down. By the way, how do we know about this story? We know about this story because it appears in manuscript, the last manuscript that Rabbi Yitzchak wrote, a halachic text of his just before he passes away. And he tells the following story. He says, the servant took me down to the basement and I saw what I saw. And then the servant says, look, there's a curtain here. Would you like me to move the curtain so perhaps the rabbi could see more? To which Rabbi Yitzchak says, Re'iti dai, I have seen enough. From this moment on, Rabbi Yitzchak goes home. He takes upon himself a ta'anit dibur, meaning he does not speak to another person. And as we are told, 40 days later, he passes away, without any of us knowing what it was that he saw. Did he see the holy vessels? We don't know. This, the Torah portion from Rabbi Yitzchak Chai Bukhbeza, the rooster and Bilam, and perhaps the only Jew to see the secrets hidden in the basement of the Vatican. Shabbat Shalom.